What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio. Fantastic Fest 2024. Very excited to talk House of Spoils. Huge congratulations on your movie. I'm a little obsessed with certain things. I'm obsessed with certain things that I don't know if we can dig into full force now because this will be a non-spoiler interview. But I did want to begin by discussing the development of the story with the two of you. Can you tell me what story idea number one was? The thing that started it all? But then I also want to know if you had a break story moment, something you found along the way that really made it feel whole.
Oh, we do.
Take it away, Pilardi.
Well, I feel like I'm quoting you, but basically we had this idea of wanting to do like a writer in a house haunted by another writer. I can't remember, or no, not a writer, sorry, an artist in like experiencing the ghost of another artist or the presence of another artist or something like that. Two female things. It was kind of abstract and artsy. And then Krudy was like, what if it's a chef? And then all of a sudden we had like this sort of waterfall.
We'll call it a download.
It did feel like a download. It was. I remember. I'll never forget it. It was like 1 hour where we like kind of the basic.
I actually
sketch.
remember exactly where I was.
Yeah, me too.
It was like we were there. It arrived.
There's like, and there's a rabbit. It's like,
but make no mistake, there were a lot of hurdles past that.
And then it was still pretty bad for a long time.
There's a lot of challenges, but everything needs to feel unexpected and keep it unexpected. And actually, there's like the sort of inspiration seed, and then there's all the story like labor you do after that to like keep it unexpected and like keep it growing and alive. And you're like, okay, feed the beast. Like, yeah,
great success in that respect here. I feel like I've seen just about everything, so whenever I see something that kind of defies those all too familiar genre storytelling expectations. Job very well done. Very impressed by that.
Thank you so much.
Seriously.
I really appreciate that.
So
Thank you.
You just brought this up now that there were some challenges getting this movie going, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there who can just assume when you make an exceptional first feature that it's easy to get the second one off the ground, and that's not always the case. I'm going to make this a big two-part question for you again. What is something that you would call a misconception about getting a second feature off the ground after a successful first feature? But then also, what is something about Blow the Man Down that helped you get this movie made and made the way you wanted?
I mean, we have so much empathy for how challenging the journey is to get even to set. And then that's from set on is a whole other like kit and caboodle. There's like, you can only control your like own little universe to an extent. And then you have stuff like the pandemic, which this was like a little boat on the waves. You know what I mean? Like thrashed around. And like, then there's studio changes. People lose positions, ideas and taste changes.
It fell apart a couple times.
Yeah,
and it is a miracle that any movie is made. I can't believe somebody gave us money to make it.
Cannot. And we really champion
it's a miracle.
Those people. They know who they are.
The miracle is
Julia
called.
Rappaport,
and also our actor.
And our actor.
And our champions. You're right. I'm so sorry.
No. I mean, it's just, we can sit here and like name names. It's just like, you are helpless in a lot of ways to so many external conditions. And we kept the faith in like the ideas. And then we also just tried to persevere that we could see this realized. And actually to see something original, totally original realized these days is still really wild.
But it does take having Ariana believed in us, and that was what made the movie real. And then we were able to get the rest of our amazing cast from there. And then then you have momentum, okay, it's a movie.
I'll jump to you now, Ariana. So this is your first horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
More broadly with genre storytelling, what is it about horror that made you think I have something to gain from this genre as an actor evolving my craft right now?
Well, I'll be really honest. When I read the script, which I loved, it was one of the first things that came my way after, I call it like the big moment in the sun. I didn't really know that I was saying yes to a horror genre. Like, yeah, I saw the name Blumhouse and da-da-da-da-da. But I was drawn to like the storytelling of it all. And there were so many other elements. And I was like, ooh, that's interesting. There's suspense here. There's something very scary about it. But it's like, I was just listening to a Q&A that Nicole Kidman just gave about Baby Girl.
Baby Girl's incredible.
It's an incredible film, so check that out too. But you'll watch this one first. Thank you very much, if you feel so inclined. But she was like, I didn't realize exactly what I was making until I was making it, and I actually felt very similarly about this. But I will say, this genre or subject matter like stretched me in a lot of ways, which is exactly what I wanted, because this character, first of all, her name is Chef. Like, she, like, her whole world is defined by her job. And I didn't always like her. I loved her. I did not always like her. I think you have to love your characters in order to play them honestly and authentically. But I did not always like her, and I wanted to play someone that like had also asked a lot of me, both in a skill, in regards to my set of skills. Like, I'm not a chef. I'm from the South. And I love to cook, but like that's cupboard cooking, y'all. What's in the cupboard, throw it in the casserole dish, turn on the oven. You know what I mean?
You're not like mincing.
I'm not mincing. This is not, what are they called? Chiffonade. Like, that's not what we're doing here. So I had to really challenge myself in that way and let go of some of my preconceived notions or about acting, perhaps, that like, I think we as artists, we tell ourselves stories about what it's supposed to be. And I threw everything out the window and just tried a different tactic. So this was really an exercise of me realizing that I was semi-method, sorry about that, and just trying anything and everything new. Yeah.
Oh, I have so many follow-up questions. First, I'll toss this to both of you because you just mentioned the idea of not really knowing what you're doing until you're doing it. Did you two have a moment on set where you stopped and said to yourself, I either get my character or I just get the film as a whole now more than ever?
There were plenty of days where I was like, but I don't know what the hell is going. I don't know where I am right now.
Still in Budapest.
We're in Budapest. We made this movie in Budapest, by the way. It's a great double for upstate New York. It's also, I think, cheaper and gives you more time.
Lots of filming there now.
To be honest, like, it's economics, you guys. But I do remember a moment in the Jeep. There's a really lovely moment between our two characters where we're both kind of like, pardon the language, but both characters are in the shitter. But they don't know that they're both in the shitter until they share. And shooting that scene with him was definitely like one of those, like, I don't know if this is the right tone. I question everything I'm doing, but we're doing it. We're doing it together. And that was cool. Yeah.
How about for you? Same scene?
Yeah, I think I do love that scene.
Great scene.
It's a great scene. I mean, there were so many, putting on the costume and all of a sudden getting into that Jeep and then all of a sudden coming out and throwing keys at you. And then you catching the keys. And I was just like, oh, we're here now, you know?
I remember that.
Also, I have to say this, the production design on this is just so incredible that when you walk in, you feel like you are in that world. And that really like sets everything to a nice tone, you know, and makes everything much easier.
Oh, that makes all the sense in the world. I also hear that you have a lot of experience in this world. I'll semi quote here. I was reading that, of course, you're part owner of Pebble Bar, but also you were described as an insider of the Broadway restaurant scene. Can you tell me some specific
Not our quote. Was it our quote? I don't know.
Was it my quote? Did I quote you about? I think I might have been me. Sorry.
I think it was one of you, maybe. I don't know. But can you tell me something specific about your knowledge of and experience in that realm that we could see coming through your performance here?
Yeah, I mean, I got involved as one of the owners of Pebble Bar just, a couple years prior to, maybe a year prior to shooting this. And then that whole world is a completely different world because you're like all of a sudden dealing with like advertising, money, it's all so much, stuff that's happening. And there's a level of everything's going amazingly. Can't you tell that you have to just keep pushing? Like, it's all amazing. It's all.
Oh my God, that is so filmmaking.
It's just going great, guys.
We're shooting this spring.
It's just going great. You didn't know it's going great, and then deep down you go home and you're just like, why did I do this? I could have just been an investor in like something else. And there's a little bit of that in the movie. I mean, this Andreas is really trying. He's putting his, He's putting his whole life out there and being like, I'm going to try something big. putting chef in there in this new place that's haunted. And then all of a sudden, so I kind of get us, but he also has to tell everyone, everything's okay. I promise you, everything is fine. So I kind of sense that a lot with these restaurateurs.
So indicative, not just like of movie making, but I feel like there's always an Andreas in like kind of every line of work. There's always some guy that's like, it's great. Yeah. Even the finance guy, they're like, it's great. And then the whole market tanks. You know what I mean? There's always that
and sometimes,
guy.
shout out, you need that producer to tell you it's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
You
Sometimes
do.
you
You
need
do.
that producer,
That's so true.
man, lady, and you just need them to kind of
Just be like, my job right
keep
now
the
is
cruise.
Yeah, it's all going
Keep it
great.
going.
It's all going great. Yeah.
One thing I think about very frequently is when I was in film school, we would make our shorts and we had one person who would be the go-to AD on all shorts. And every time someone got frustrated, he would stop and stand in the middle of everyone and go, guys, we're making a movie.
Yeah.
And that, in all honesty, it completely changed the tone of the set in a heartbeat simply because he said that with enthusiasm that we all caught on to.
It's the best. And I also think it's like you always need the one person to reframe, right? Because when you're in it, it feels so heavy. And it's the end of the world when you cannot find a solution. So you do need the one person. And 9 times out of 10, it's nothing's burning up. Yeah. Nothing's on fire. You just can't see the forest for the trees in the moment. So thank you to all of those people who do that.
Who have been bullshitting us for years.
We dedicate this interview.
No, you're great.
You're great.
It's a real dumpster fire, but
We need it. We want more of it.
We do.
All right, my other follow-up, because you brought up your cooking skills, I'm going to go here and go here next. First, I'll like play it a little safe and basic with this. For each of you, can you recall your most memorable meal?
Just in life in general?
Either in I was about to say more recently, but whatever you want is fine.
Ooh, wow. Ooh, you know what? I had some great meat today. I did.
DeBose. Famous quote from DeBose.
Oh, I heard it. Whoops, sorry. Okay.
Just take a quick 5.
Sorry.
We're going to come back in a second.
Oh my God. Wow.
DeBose Austin edition.
Anyways, I believe it's a place in Austin called Terry Black's. And I think some of the best ribs I've ever had in my life. If you're a meat eater, damn, it keeps happening. If you enjoy meat, that's not for everyone. It's delicious.
No, keep going. Say different ways of what you're trying to say with the word meat and enjoying it.
It's great.
Yeah.
Big fan. It
Paid
doesn't
for
even
by
need
big,
the sauce.
big meat and corporate.
It didn't even need the sauce, you guys. Like, really, really great. Big fan. Yeah, that was good.
That's a spot-on recommendation. Terry Black's is the best for the record.
Meals there, just memorable meals.
Okay, this is just when I was 23 and a waitress. When I was 23, and yes, and a waitress in Bar Harbor, Maine. There was this fine dining restaurant called Havana's. Right. And then it was just it was really random that I was there, but it was like a really nice restaurant. And I remember the chef taking out this one meal for family, or like allowed us to try it. It was going to be like a new special. And it was like a pork thing on like sweet potato and plantain pancetta kind of thing. And I just like remember this one bite of being like, oh no, this is food. Like he was really, really talented chef, and it was like South American fine dining or whatever. And also he was passionate, and I had never thought of food in like that level before. So I remember that bite. Yeah. I wish I could remember the chef's name. Don't. He's also a total dick.
But the food was amazing.
Take 5.
We're going to take another quick 5.
How's this? Budapest changed us, guys. Okay, really quick. This is kind of cheesy, but actually, my journey on this movie has been to love cooking, and I like cooking a lot more now than I did even like 4 years ago. And when I cook something that I'm proud of and enjoy it on my terms, I will tell you, that is my own little slice of bliss. And it can be really simple. And I like, it feels like a journey from being like somebody who's just like shoveling food in front of a monitor. You've been there. To just like eating a nice piece of toast and beans and like homemade pesto. Whatever. I said it. Homemade pesto.
I love that.
So, yeah.
I gotta say, one of the things that I love it's also in this movie, is this idea that the presentation of the meal is so lovely. And I'm gonna actually shout out my mother, Parvin Khanum, in Chicago, Illinois right now. When she presents food out, it's always like a piece of art. And so like people just like take a second with it, and I just feel like when I want a good meal, I like it presented in a nice way.
Oh, presentation is everything.
Which Chef does a lot of in this movie.
Yeah, I learned to plate like a champ. We call it plating. Like
Bad
it's
vocabulary.
art. It's literally an artist going to work. There's different phases of the art, but
It's very, very true. To completely demolish that idea and make me feel better about the fact that I have zero cooking skills, I want to know your favorite foods that are the polar opposite of fine dining.
Oh my God, absolutely. Let's go. You're ready.
Nachos.
Yeah. Down and dirty nachos.
Nachos. Just load it up.
Burrito. Breakfast burrito.
Yeah.
Always. Dip it, dunk it.
Have y'all ever tried cereal?
Tell me more.
A
more
plus
about that.
answer. Now you're talking my language.
I'm like an Oreos and peanut butter kind of gal.
I can see that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's odd because I will pair it with like a deep glass of red wine.
Oh, I see that.
It's been a bad day.
Follow-up question. What is your peanut butter of choice?
Skippy.
Skippy. Crunchy or
That's
smooth?
a Southern in
Smooth.
you, dude. That's a Southern.
I know. Skippy.
Okay.
Smooth though. I don't like that crunchy stuff.
Can I ask you two a really weird performance question? Yeah. I get really obsessed with like the little things, the basic things we do every day that are hard to replicate believably on screen, like sneezing, coughing, fake waking up. What is it like fake tasting?
Oh, you did that a lot.
You did.
Fake tasting to make it pretend that it was delicious.
Everything was actually delicious, right?
Right.
And not lukewarm from being on set.
Actually, let's take another 5.
He's got a stomachache.
Usually when it's food that you have to eat on set, it's usually they're more interested in how it looks. So it's usually like frozen or something very cold. But there was something that was supposed to be disgusting, and that was actually disgusting. And that was that mushroom thing.
The truth comes out.
The truth comes out, where it was like pretty gooey and kind of chewy. Thank you.
Side by side with the clip from the movie of him enjoying deeply.
I would have a very hard time with that on a set. Ariana, I'm going to ask you a very, very specific line question. I feel like the time will come when I can ask lots of detailed spoiler questions, but I did want to make sure to bring this one up now because it's something I kind of can't stop thinking of. It's when you say the line, "I'm not an asshole, I'm just the boss." What was it like tackling that and getting the right tone so a line like that cuts through as well as it does?
Oh, well, I didn't think about it much. I'll tell you that. I just said it in the moment. I mean, I think there's probably not a woman alive who hasn't worked in a toxic work environment, and I think women are held to some really ridiculous standards, and our leadership styles are 9 times out of 10 encouraged to be incredibly firm. However, what I loved about this film is that it is an exploration of trying and learning. And I think you watch Chef come in with some really toxic attributes to her leadership style. And throughout, you've watched someone learn that there is a better way. There might be there's a softer way. And you can own that softness. You could own the vulnerability of being a leader. It's not always easy. You're not always going to be liked, but you can lead with generosity of spirit. And that is ultimately like the goal. But for myself, I can tell you plenty of times, because I mean, I don't know if people realize this, but actors, like, we're a walking business. We run our own business. Like, yes, it's like flashy and realness, but like there's a business at a business. And quite frequently I have to remind people that like I'm I'm a boss. I run a company, the company of Ariana DeBose. I run my business and I'm real nice. I am not an asshole, but I am still the boss. And people don't always like the decisions you have to make. And that sucks because I don't know. I used to be a people pleaser. I think, again, I don't know that a woman alive doesn't know what that feels like, to want to please, to want to be liked, to want people to respect you and be willing to do all the work to make that happen. But it's hard when you just gotta get a result and it's not happening. But you always have a choice. It's like that oh sorry, I should have asked for consent. It's like Devil Wears Prada. You know, they used to do it on Facebook all the time. But I always go back to Devil Wears Prada, right? You know, like Meryl Streep's character, Miranda, that was not a happy woman. But she was a boss leader and she got results. But she was not happy. I think that there's like, but she was I don't know if she was a great boss. Would you define her as a great boss? Like that is a character that culturally,
I think she had some toxic masculinity in work environments or toxic work environments that she didn't undo.
Yeah, there's like that character, I think, asked a lot of questions of us in regards to what leadership looks like. And my character got to do it in this way in this film. So I'm not saying that we need to like compare a chef to Miranda Priestley, because honestly, I would probably lose. But I do think the conversation, like how leadership styles and how we grow and how we learn and how those have changed and evolved over time. Like that's really great. I'm gonna stop talking now.
No, that was it was
Amazing.
a really beautiful answer.
Amazing.
It's really cool that we could explore themes like that through genre storytelling too. I'm a big believer that horror in particular is a brilliant genre because oddly enough, I find it easier to process some of life's most difficult human truths through that format of storytelling, which
That's
I don't
interesting.
know. Like it sounds weird, but that's the way that I assess it best.
I think that's a really cool insight. And I also think, it just made me, I always go back to this quote that Krudy said. I believe it was you, Krudy. And patriarchy is its own haunted house. That is a really large concept that if this movie were not in the genre it was in, would you be able to think about it in this way?
Honestly, probably not. I think there's certain extremes in this movie that when you tackle them as bluntly as you do through horror, it puts into focus like how real it is and the weight that it carries.
Yeah.
Versus if it was, let's say, a more traditional drama and I could kind of like compartmentalize like what I see on screen versus how it could bleed into my real life, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
I loved it. Clearly. I'm not allowed to keep you any longer, but I have a million more questions.
Why don't you ask one more question?
One more question?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll go with this one then so we can highlight a couple of scenes in the movie.
What is the meaning of life?
One day we'll get to that. In an earlier interview that we did at Fantastic Fest, it was for the role of Jenny Penn, and the director had spoken about Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow's process and emphasized how much joy those two take in their work. So I want to know, what is the day on this particular set that you felt the most joy as an artist?
I love that question.
There are a couple days that like jump to my mind, which is good.
Yeah.
You want to have multiple days of joy.
I like that.
I really there are two. I loved the day of I was on set with you, Barbie.
We miss you, Barbie.
We miss you so
Barbie's
much, Mama.
great in this, too.
You're so good in our movie, honey.
So good.
But it was the getting to know you. Andreas, come on, let's go to dinner. We're gonna go meet the fancy guy. I loved
remember that
that.
day.
It was the most like awkward, wonderful meet and greet thing. There was such joy in that. But I felt a lot of joy during the shooting of the big final sequence, the final cooking sequence in the scene. That brought me a lot of joy because it combined all the things that I love most: movement, food. I think food brings people together, and the culmination of like what all of that energy that's happening in this film, all the exchange of these characters like came together in a really beautiful, cool way. And yeah, she had a big cauldron thing. That was cool. It was great.
I have a lot of days too. It was a lot of fun. Budapest was so much fun. But one day in particular was that it was when you were presenting a bunch of new meals to like at the table, and we're all sitting. That's me and Barbie and a few others are sitting there, and you're bringing out food, and everything is kind of going wrong. Yeah, everything is kind of going wrong, and all of a sudden, Barbie's character says something like, "Yeah, it needs a little bit of this," and I'm like, "What the hell did you just say?" And that whole day was really kind of fun and funny. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Actually, I'm glad you
everything.
I'm glad you brought that back because I was like, oh, that was a really fun moment for me. I remember watching and be like, oh, this movie's gonna be funny, and just like feeling like, oh wow, we
all of us were
with the bugs.
Yeah, everyone is having their own meal.
I was like getting
Having their
I'm
own
like, oh yeah, you guys. It was like, oh yeah, these guys are popping.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they are hilarious.
The looks between them
looks.
alone, the comedy. Oh,
yeah.
The comedy.
It's like, well, there's a lot of joy from these two. I mean, these two were like two peas in a pod to my left.
Ari squared.
Ari squared.
Yeah, it was really Ari squared, had like a real time. And I was thinking for me, joy was in the garden. Whenever we had Ariana in the garden, where she was like dirty and like just up to her arm, like sleeves rolled up and just like pulling weeds, and just like watching a woman work is like a lot of pleasure for me. So I really like enjoyed those parts.
I also like that. I felt really happy seeing like the bare arms and the working, and like I was like, this. God, I feel stand by
I remember like
Yeah.
I was sore a lot. Like, you know, I was like always in the dirt or like in the plants, and like I mean I would do push-ups like before
I meant to
takes.
compliment
I
you.
forgot about that.
The
Like,
chef from the activation today,
Yes.
she was like, "What?" We were like, "Hey, did you relate to the movie at all?" And she was like, "Did this and this and this," and then when she was standing in the garden holding her back, like she really like she was like
just feeling the work.
She felt seen in that
so
piece,
seen.
specifically the back pain.
yeah, like it was a lot of physical challenge for me.
Paid off big time. I'm glad you put in the work to get those physical challenges done, and everything you put into pushing this movie through to the finish line. Seriously, I absolutely loved it. And we'll be bugging you all for more questions and answers all the way through its release. So thank you for sharing some of your experience with us here. To everybody out there, keep an eye out for House of Spoils and much more coming your way from Fantastic Fest 2024.